Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new idontworkherelady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, "You're in the Wrong Country If You Think People Are Going to Do That For You." Here's your important background on me. I'm a British national who has been working in another country for a couple of years. I haven't been home at all during this time, so this year I saved up all my holiday, okayed it with my bosses, and decided to use it all on coming home from now until the new year. My flight touched down mid-afternoon yesterday at Big International Airport. I had opted to hire a car to use since I'm planning a couple of day trips to visit friends who now live across the country. It just so happened that the company I was going with had an empty-to-empty fuel policy. There was just enough fuel in the car to get you to the nearest petrol station, and you didn't have to bring it back with any specific amount of fuel in the tank. This all begins at the petrol station about 5 minutes down the road from the car hire place. I feel like this isn't a surprise to anyone reading, apart from the antagonist of this story, but she appears in a minute. But in the UK, on the whole, we fill up our own petrol tanks. People paid to pump your petrol for you are not a thing. If you go into really rural areas with no other petrol stations for miles around, you might get a hand from the one member of staff there, but that's it. This is the same in my country of work also. You mostly pay over the counter in the shop connected to the station, but for some of the chain petrol stations you can pay at the pump itself via a PIN machine. Sorry if this is like teaching your grandmother to suck eggs and you know this already. It just so happens that this petrol station in question had the pay at pump option. The queue for paying behind the counter was massive, so I decided when I pulled in to pay at the pump. There was a bit of a wait to get to a free pump, and while waiting I noticed out of my window that a car just turning into the petrol station was a hire car by the same company as mine. At the time it was just something to spot, but I didn't realize that I would be front and center in their crosshairs. I eventually pull into a space, get out the car, and start filling it up. I finish and reach into my pocket to get my card out to pay when there's a tap on my shoulder. I look across and there's an, I would guess, mid-30s woman standing there looking angry. I should note that I myself am a woman in my late 20s, and was wearing the jogging bottoms and university hoodie that I had traveled in, so definitely in no discernible uniform at all. I'll be calling her Shouty American, SAW, for short. SAW. Finally someone appears. Can you tell these other cars to move so we can get into this space next? Me, tired because flying is draining, and confused, no. They were here before you. SAW. But they're not with car hire company. You are because your car says so. Get them to move and then get pumping our gas. Me. I'm not employed by anyone, I just hired the car. Also no one's going to pull any petrol in your car other than yourself. At this point I turned away from her so I could pay, and she did not like that. SAW. Pulling my arm away from the screen. I don't want pet roll. The fact that she was trying to make fun of my accent was just odd. I want gas. We were told to fill up here, and if you don't do it I will drag you to that office and watch as you get fired. Obviously, because she is on the verge of shrieking at me and has created a scene, a member of staff comes over and asks what is happening. I was going to politely explain that the woman just seemed to be a little bit confused over what she's been told by the car hire company, but she gets in there first. SAW. This employee of your partner firm car hire company is terrible, she's refusing to pump my gas. Staff member, SM, to me. Do you work for car hire company? Me. No, I just hired the car and needed to fill it up, and now I need to pay. SAW. No, she works for them. Look at the stickers on her car. They're the same stickers on every hire car. SM. To her. Madam, I don't think this lady works for car hire company. I think we just need to let her move on so she can leave and we can keep everyone moving. We also don't have any contracts with car hire company to begin with. At this point there are about 8 cars parked behind the car that she was in, since the driver hadn't thought to move into one of the now many free spaces next to the pumps. and many more indicating that they want to enter the petrol station. But Saw seemed oblivious to this. Saw. I want someone to fill up my car now. I don't care if you fill it up with petrol and not gas. She seemed to have no clue that petrol and gasoline are literally the same thing. You're all lucky that I don't film this and stick it on Facebook so you all get shamed and fired. SM. Getting annoyed as there were people shouting and car horns blaring because of the blockage. You're in the wrong country if you think people are going to do that for you. Please tell the driver of your car to move, or we will have to have the car towed for an illegal obstruction. I'm pretty sure this isn't a thing, but I sense the guy was just hedging his bets that Shouty had no clue what the law was. She eventually signaled for the driver to move into a space, to the wonderful sound of British sarcastic cheers. It's good to be home. While the staff member apologized profusely for what had happened and offered me anything in the shop on the house. I went home with a tank full of petrol, a deluxe Christmas sandwich, and a good story to tell to my family. That probably wasn't the welcome to the UK that Shouty expected, but it was the one she deserved. The next story is entitled Woman Mistakes Me for Employee at a Walmart and Then Comes for Job Interview. I was doing some late-night shopping on a Sunday night in Walmart when this woman comes up to me. Excuse me, I need help finding these items. She shoves a list to my chest. I'm sorry, miss. I don't work here. I think that was the wrong thing to say as she just explodes on me. Bullcrap. Don't be lazy. You're in the uniform. My shirt was the same color as a Walmart employee's, but I was not an employee. It's the same color, but I repeat, I'm not an employee. I can't help you. Duck you. You lazy duck. Get me your manager. I'm going to get you fired. I decided to just walk away. She yells and tries to chase after me, but I keep running until I lose her. Then I go and pay for my things. Now, a week later, I was told I would be interviewing someone who was applying for the secretary position in our company. So, I go to the interview room and call in the applicant. I look at the picture on the application form and my eyes widened. It was the same woman who harassed me in the Walmart. Oh, now this was too perfect. She came in, saw me, gasps. Take a seat, please, I said, and she sits down, looking pale. Oh, I was going to enjoy this, but I conducted the interview as professionally as possible. I made it very painful for her. So, if someone came up to you and asked for help in a place you did not work, then you told them you didn't work there, and then they yell at you, and then they harass you, and then they come to a job interview and you were the one interviewing them, what would you do? Would you give them a job? She did not get the job and I got some payback. The next story is titled, Lady Throws Food That I Paid for Wearing a Green Shirt. I get some free food, lady gets kicked out. This was just a few days ago. So I went to a Subway to get some lunch, since Subway is my favorite fast food chain, and I just ordered my usual sandwich. The place I go to isn't very busy, so the employees mess around in the back. Enter Stage EU. Debrief on characters, me. EU, entitled Woman CSW1 Cool Subway Worker 1 CSW2 Cool Subway Worker 2. As I was eating my sandwich, I get a tap on the shoulder and a throat clear. I look back, thinking it was an employee. It was EU. Me. Yes? EU. What do you mean, yes? Get off break and make me a sandwich. Me. I don't work here, sorry. EU. Stop lying, it is so obvious you work here. Points at green shirt, and besides no one else is here. Me. I am sorry, but I just don't work here. EU. Screaming. Yes you do. Stop being lazy you bleach. She throws my food across the subway. The workers hear and come out to investigate. CSW1. What is going on here? Me. She. Before I could finish she interrupts saying. EU. He is swearing at me saying I'm fat and refusing to make me food. I want him fired. CSW2. He doesn't work here ma'am. He's one of our usuals. Me. She also threw my food BTW. They finally notice the sandwich on the floor. CSW1. Ma'am, leave. Like now. EU. I want my sandwich. CSW1. We're calling the police. As soon as they said that, she ran as fast as she could out of here, trying to avoid trouble. CSW2. You want another sandwich, a crispy chip? Me. Yeah, thanks. I got my sandwich and a cookie. Interesting lunch. The next story is titled, My 3-year-old Students Read Better Than You. I have never been mistaken as an employee because I'm usually with other people, or if I'm alone I have a bright purple bag on my shoulders that screams, I don't work here. Oh, how the turntables. I work at a daycare during my college breaks and our uniforms are khaki pants and a blue polo like every retail store ever. Now, I teach 2/3-year-olds, so my days are long and hectic, which means I tend to go immediately home from work. Until last Friday. I had some holiday shopping to do and I didn't want to run out later, so I took the plunge and went to the store known for khakis and blue polos and/or vests. That was an obvious mistake. So I go in, grab a basket and start shopping, navigating the holiday retail madness. I've got some candy, some PJ pants and a sweater in my basket when I'm standing in the shoe aisle browsing slippers for my mom. Cue the lady with an overflowing cart who I'll refer to as Colossal Idiot or CB. So CB flies down the aisle and comes to a screeching halt by my side. I'm blissfully unaware, looking at some fox slippers when I hear a loud, "Excuse me," and a nudge from the cart. I look up, see CB, sheepishly smile and go, "Sorry," before scooting out of the way because I think she wants to get through. "Where are the Christmas sweaters?" she demands, frowning like she just smelled the nastiest fart. I raise an eyebrow before the obvious hits me. I chuckle and shake my head. "Sorry, I know I look like I work here but I don't." I then point to the gigantic logo on my polo, which is a very large bird with the words, "Flower Schools," around it. "Oh, but if that was the end of it we wouldn't be here, would we?" The convo that followed went like this. CB. Lazy kids these days. Just tell me where your Christmas sweaters are. Me. Listen, ma'am, I don't work here. I work at Flower Schools. It says it on my shirt. CB. Stop lying and just help me. I'm usually a very anxious and spineless person, but sometimes the angry confrontational a-hole inside of me pops out. This is one of those few times. Me. Look lady, my 3-year-old students read better than you. I don't work here. I work at Flower Schools. I'll spell it out for you, Flower Schools. I spelled so slowly and I could just see the realization hit this lady's face, but oh no, she's not finished. CB. I want to speak to your manager. Me. You'll have to go to my actual job to do that. Have a nice day, ma'am. Maybe you should read more. I grabbed the fox slippers and walked away, feeling slightly triumphant at the fact that I, for once, did not cry while being verbally berated. The next story is titled, Overbearing. Karen thinks I work in a doctor's office and tries to get me to violate HIPAA, then threatens to have me fired when I don't. So as part of my actual job, my company sends me to different clinics to audit their invoices to ensure insurance companies aren't getting scammed for unnecessary or unperformed patient procedures. It happens more than you know. Normally, when I'm at a clinic they'll stick me in an unused office or a cubicle so I'm out of sight and don't interfere with their normal operations. However, yesterday during a clinic visit, they didn't have anywhere to put me except the front desk with the receptionist. This wasn't a problem for me since it does happen on occasion and I'm just there to get the job done and head out. So, I'm sitting there in the front office desk looking over the clinic's documents when the receptionist gets called back to assist with a patient. After a few minutes, I hear someone cough slightly to the right of me and look up. I'll call her Karen because she had the haircut and the attitude. Karen, in a rude voice. I've been standing here for the past couple of minutes and you've yet to acknowledge me. You should be ashamed of yourself. Is this how this clinic is run? Me. I'm sorry ma'am, the receptionist just stepped out for a moment. She'll be back soon. I can't help you as I don't work here. She looks me up and down like she's judging how I'm dressed. I should mention that I'm dressed in standard business attire. Blazer, shirt, tie, and black slacks with my company logo and name tag hanging from a lanyard. Karen. How stupid do you think I am? You're sitting at the front desk of a clinic dressed like that and you don't work here? I should file a complaint against you with your boss. Me. Listen ma'am, I've already told you I don't work here. Take it or leave it, but I work for company name, and hold up my badge. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my work, and ignore her. Karen, now infuriated. How dare you? Do you know who I am? My husband works with the owner of this clinic and he'll be hearing about your poor customer service skills. Me. Still looking at documents, good for him. I repeat, I don't work here. Wait for the receptionist. Karen tries to change tactics and fake smiles at me. Look, I'm sure you're busy so I won't take much of your time. All I need to know is my daughter-in-law's next OB appointment. Her name is name. It shouldn't take you too long to find her in your calendar. I just need to know what time it is so I can be here to meet her. Me. Now looking at her, are you deaf? I've already told you I don't work here, and even if I did, you're asking me to violate HIPAA laws. Do you know how serious that is? You need to ask her directly if she's actually willing to have you with her. Though I doubt it. Karen. You don't know what you're talking about. That idiot should have told me when she was scheduling her first ultrasound. That's my grandchild in there and I need to be here to see him. Now tell me when her appointment is, otherwise I'll have you fired. Me. You need help lady. You need to leave now before I have someone call security. Karen. You're threatening me? The doctor and receptionist hear the loud commotion and come out to the front desk. Doctor. What's going on here? Me. This woman doesn't understand that I don't work for you and she's trying to find out her in-law's appointment. Karen, now panicking. Your receptionist, pointing at me, has been useless and won't give me the information I've asked for. He needs to be fired. Receptionist. To Karen, he doesn't work here. Doctor, I'll take care of this, and she intercoms the security office. Hi, we need a guard to come to office 123 to escort someone out. She's disturbing one of our vendors, and says, thank you, once they confirm someone will be here shortly. Once Karen realizes she's about to be escorted out. I'm not leaving. I have a right to know how my grandson is doing. I have a right. She starts shouting profanities at us for a couple of minutes when a burly security guard arrives and tells her to leave, otherwise he'll call the police on her for trespassing. She refuses, so he grabs her by the arm and drags her screaming out of the office. That was the last I saw of her, but the receptionist called the daughter-in-law to inform her what just happened. After the call, the receptionist laughs and tells me that the in-law didn't want the woman anywhere near her and her baby to be. It seems her and her husband are no contact, which explained part of the craziness. The next story is titled, My Badass Wife. My wife and I are senior citizens, in other words, we are old. My dear wife, DF, is a strong, independent, take no crap from anyone, type of woman. I adore her for it. She keeps me in line, pushes me to be a better man, and is the reason behind my modest success in life. She is sarcastic, is wicked smart, can cuss like a sailor, and as she gets older, her filter is practically non-existent. A few months ago, we decided to treat ourselves. We made reservations and went to a rather high-end restaurant. They had a maître d', sommeliers, highly trained waitstaff, etc. My wife, even though she is in her 70s, has very little gray hair and can pass for 55. She was wearing a very pretty white, lacy blouse, very flattering black pants, and black flats. She looked good. When we arrived, there was no line, surprisingly, and the maître d' had apparently stepped away from the podium where he stands. We were waiting there and my wife was right next to the podium and I had sat down at one of the benches provided by the entrance, when another couple came in. Without missing a beat, the man walked up to the podium and told my wife, Rockefeller, not the name he used, we have reservations for two. My wife said that she was sure someone would be with them shortly. The woman huffed a little and the man said, please seat us now. My wife told them that she is waiting to be seated, but the man said again, seat us now. So my wife said, right away, walk this way. She walked away with them behind her as she walked around the partition separating the entrance to the dining area. circled around to the other end and led them back to the entrance and, pointing to the bench, said, "Sit down." The man looked like he was going to blow a gasket, and my wife repeated, "I don't work here, you moron. You wanted me to seat you, so sit the F down." As the couple were sputtering, and before it could escalate future, the maitre d' arrived. We gave our name and he led us away. There was no yelling and no threats of police. We had a wonderful meal, overpriced but, oh well, and the other couple was several tables away from us. We didn't interact again with them, but they did shoot us dirty looks now and then. Now, before you say my wife overreacted and could have explained that she didn't work there in a better way, she has a wicked sense of humor and hates idiots. She loves being a smartass and is so good at it. One of the reason that I, after being with her all these years, still love being put in my place by her when I start getting a little too misogynistic. I wanted to post this again because since the original posting, I have lost the love of my life to the current global health crisis. Maybe, someday, I'll be able to post new content about the wonderful woman I was honored to call my wife. I'm just not in the headspace to do so now. The next story is titled, "I'm Not a Rental Boyfriend for Hire?" There was a girl in my high school that was gay and had parents that were very against the idea of being so. I basically agreed to be her beard for 2 years on high school because they often pressured her into getting one and asked if she was gay beforehand. We had kissed in pictures on an account she used that her siblings saw, and other people had found it and knew the story of why we did what we did. Fast track to about a week ago, I ran into someone else that knew me, but I didn't know them from HS at a party, and they said they wanted to seem successful with a boyfriend that was doing well and was okay looking. Dialogue is roughly as follows. Her. So could you come to a dinner for Christmas with me and seem super into me? Me. That's weird and IDK you that well. Her. Well, you did it for, old friend, and took the money, so why not me? Am I not pretty enough to fake date? Me. Well, I wasn't paid to do that, it was a favor. And I once again don't know you and don't want to spend my Christmas faking being intertwined into another family dynamic. Her. So I'm not pretty enough, or you assume I don't have enough money? At this point, multiple of her friends are saying if I'm already a prostitute, then why not do it unless I think she's too ugly or something? Me. I think this is a gross exaggeration of what it was. I'm not a gigolo and don't do anything like this for money. They start saying they will pull a fund together for this, and I assume this is some kind of drunk chick thing and walk away. I later am asked to leave for calling them ugly. I didn't, and am called an a-hole by an assortment of women on the way out. Was there a better way to handle this, or are drunk people just looking for a reason to be mad? If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.